Hey mini chums, and welcome back to another episode of the Kenwood Kids Club, live from the Mr. Baker's Cakes kitchen. Now, over the last few weeks, I've been sharing some of my barbecue favourite recipes with you, so that if we ever end up with a good weekend of weather, we can all get outside and have some fun cooking up some gorgeous barbecue food. Last week I showed you how to make juicy beef burgers, and the week before I showed you how to make some lightly floured burger buns to enjoy them inside. We're rounding off these 3 weeks of barbecue themed videos with my favourite spicy bean burger recipe, because like I explained last week, I'm actually a vegetarian and I don't eat beef burgers, so this is my favourite recipe to enjoy when I'm outside having a barbecue. As always, I've shot a part of it in advance, so I'll roll that footage in a second, and then we'll come back together so I can show you how I like to finish them off. So I guess without much further ado, let's get cracking. Okay, let's make some bean burgers. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is heat up your pan and add in about a tablespoon of olive oil. We're going to start by cooking our onions just like we did last week for the beef burgers. So this time I've cheated and I've already chopped them up. But if you want to see how to chop up an onion safely, check out last week's video. And I've just got one medium red onion and I've chopped it up nice and small. So I'm going to pop that straight into this pan. And I'm just going to cook it until it gets nice and soft and translucent, or a bit see-through, just like we did last week. While that's doing that, I'm going to take you through the rest of the ingredients that we're going to be using today. So I have got 1 tin of red kidney beans. You may have had these before in something like a chili con carne, but they are absolutely delicious. I love them. And then we have got a tin of black beans. Now, black beans are very common in Mexican food, and I think they're even more delicious than kidney beans, to be honest. I love, love, love black beans. And what you want to do, you want to take them out of the tin and put them into a colander or a sieve like I have here, and then you just want to allow all the kind of the water and the gunky stuff that they come in drain away, and then rinse them under a cold tap just to wash off the rest of it as well. We don't want any of that in our burgers, we just want the beans themselves. So once you've done that, you can just leave them over a bowl to drain until you're ready to use them. Just giving my onions a bit of a stir. And then you're also going to want some beetroot. Now, most people tend to be most familiar with beetroot as in pickled beetroot, which comes in a jar, and it's nice in a salad. But beetroot can actually be used in lots of other ways as well. You can use raw beetroot in salads, and this is cooked beetroot. So you can either buy raw beetroot and just kind of bake it off or roast it off in the oven, or you can look for cooked beetroot at the supermarket, which is what I've got here. And again, you just want to drain off the excess liquid, and we're going to grate that to use in our burgers in a little while. I've also got 2 tablespoons of sun-dried tomato paste. If you can't get hold of that, you can just use tomato puree, but it's just going to give a nice tang to our burgers. We have got some spices, because of course it is a spicy bean burger. So I have got a teaspoon of chili powder, and I've got mild chili powder because we are making these for younger burger eaters. But if you like a bit of spice in your food, by all means use a kind of a hot chili powder, or even you could use the crushed chilies with all the seeds and everything in. And then I've also got a teaspoon of smoked paprika, of breadcrumbs, and I tend to just, if I have some stale bread at the end of a loaf sat around, I tend to just kind of pulse that in my Kenwood Multi-Pro into breadcrumbs, and then just pop it in a little pot in the freezer, so I've always got some knocking around. You can also buy breadcrumbs ready-made at the supermarket, like panko breadcrumbs, so it's really up to you. And then the last thing we're going to need is an egg, which I have just beaten in this jug ready. Oh, salt and pepper, of course, for seasoning, and I've also got some garlic here, which we are going to add into our onions in just a moment. So, give this another stir. The reason why we're not going to add the garlic in straight away is because garlic will burn very, very easily. It doesn't take long to cook it at all. So we want to soften up our onions before we add the garlic. And the garlic will just go in kind of for the last minute or so. Yes, I am using the ridiculously huge pan again. Again, for those of you who haven't watched before, I only have like 2 pans that will work on this portable hob that I have here. So that's why this ridiculously enormous pan comes out quite often. in our videos. Okay, so they're coming along nicely. If you find that they are going quite brown quite quickly, do turn the heat down because we don't want to kind of char them off. We just want to kind of heat them through and soften them down. So that's happening there. And to chop my garlic today, I'm actually going to use kind of a small grater that looks like this. If you don't have one of these, you can use a normal grater, or you can chop it up like you've seen me do before in videos, such as our hidden veg pizza sauce. But anything that's going to give you nice, small pieces of garlic to mix in with your onion will be fine. But yeah, so give me a couple of minutes, we'll just finish cooking this onion through, and then we'll carry on. Okay, so once your onions are starting to look quite soft and translucent, here's mine, in case you would like to see what they should look like, hopefully. I'm going to add in my garlic, and so again, I'm just using that small grater, and very carefully, because I don't want to grate my fingers, I'm just going to grate that straight into the pan, and that'll give me nice, small pieces of garlic. So there's 1 and 2 cloves. Again, we've covered how to kind of peel garlic and use garlic in lots of videos now, so if you would like to see a bit more about that. Again, I always say the hidden veg pizza sauce is a good one to look at because that was one of our first videos, so I kind of went a little bit overboard on explaining all of those kind of veg chopping and peeling and everything. There we go, so pop that to one side, and then I'm just going to cook this for about 1 more minute with that garlic in there. Again, just to cook the garlic through, but I don't want it to burn, so keep that temperature nice and low. I'm also just going to rinse my hands so I don't end up with garlicky fingers. Okay. It already smells so nice. There's something about onion and garlic together that's just so delicious. Okay, while that's doing that, we're going to get ready for the next part of the recipe, and that's making the kind of the bean mash, I guess. So we're going to be using my Kenwood Multi-Pro Compact for this, and I've got the blade attachment in there, which looks like this, and you must be very careful using this because they are very sharp blades. What we're going to do is pulse our beans down, as I say, so they're almost like a mash, but I want it to be quite chunky because I do like to have a bit of texture to my burger. So in there went the kidney beans, and here are the black beans. Just popping them both in there together. I'm going to pop the lid on and then just pulse it for a few seconds at a time until it gets to a texture that I'm quite happy with. They start to kind of bunch up at the sides. You can pop that lid off, grab your spatula, just give them a bit of a move around. And then give them another couple of quick pulses. And then if I show you what that looks like, you'll hopefully be able to see we've got some kind of chunky bits, there'll be some smoother stuff towards the bottom. By the time we've mixed this all together, it's going to give us a really nice texture for our burgers. So this is going to get put into a large clean bowl, and again be very careful of those blades when you're doing that. And then grab that spatula again and just scrape around the inside of the mixer to make sure you get kind of all the smooth stuff as well, because it's a combination of the smooth and the chunky together that's going to give us a fantastic texture for our burgers. Can you tell I'm really excited about these ones? If you didn't see last week's episode, we made juicy beef burgers, but I'm a vegetarian, so I couldn't eat them. I just had to make them for everyone else. We actually took them to I popped them in the freezer, and we got them out to take to a family barbecue at the weekend for my niece's first birthday. So the rest of the family got to eat them, and they said they were absolutely delicious, which is great. But obviously I had to take the word on that because I couldn't try them. Okay, so while we were doing that, this onion and garlic mix has been cooking down together. So what I'm going to do now is turn the hob off. And then I'm going to add this onion and garlic mixture to my beans here as well. Now remember, this will be hot, so if an adult wants to do this bit for you, then that's absolutely fine. The other option is you can leave it for a few minutes to allow it to start to cool down a bit, and then add it in after that. It's really up to you, whatever is easiest. Okay, don't want to waste any of this because this is going to add some real tastiness to our food. So there we go. So now in here I've got the black beans, the kidney beans, the onion and the garlic, but we're not finished yet. Because next up we're going to go back to the food processor and I'm going to swap the blades for the grater attachment, which looks like this. It's just a disc with little grating holes on, and I'm going to pop that into the top, put the lid back on, minus that little kind of pusher bit. I should really know what that's called, shouldn't I? Anyway, I'm going to pop that on there, and I'm just going to drop my cooked beetroot into that feed tube spout thing, pop that back on top, and then this time instead of pulsing, I'm just going to turn it on onto a slow speed. And just like that, it's managed to grate it for me. Now, if you don't have a food processor like this, don't panic, you can still do this. When it comes to the beans, you can just mash them up with a fork in a bowl. It just takes a little bit longer. And the grating, of course, you can use a normal grater and grate your beetroot, but it can stain your fingers, so watch out for that. Okay, so again, I'm just going to take these blades off. Again, being very, very careful. If an adult wants to do this bit for you, then let them. Pop this over here as well, just making a pile of mess off to the side. And then again, I'm going to tip my beetroot into this giant bowl. So it's gone from being in those little balls that you saw into being really nice, finely grated beetroot. I love the grater attachment. If you have to grate something like a lot of cheese, say you're doing like a pizza making night or something and you need lots and lots of grated mozzarella cheese, your grater attachment on your food processor is perfect for that. Okay, a few more bits to go in here. So we're going to add in that sun-dried tomato paste. We're going to add in our chili powder. We're going to add in our smoked paprika. Gosh, that's hard to say. Our breadcrumbs. We're going to add in plenty of black pepper and a pinch of salt. Always season your food. And then the last thing is that beaten egg. So that's all of our ingredients are now in this large bowl, and what we're going to do is mix them all together. This is very similar to what we did last week with our juicy beef burgers. We're just not using beef, we're using beans. So giving it a really good stir around. And it will be quite a wet mixture, so don't worry if you're like, gosh, this is really wet, because that's going to make sure our burgers are nice and juicy and they don't end up horrible and dry. I've had many dry veggie burgers in my time and they're not nice. So yes, this will be quite wet, but that's absolutely fine. Now when it comes to the mixing, make sure you're kind of folding the mixture over on itself so that everything ends up really evenly spread out, so you don't end up with a bit of beans and a bit of beetroot. We do want it all mixed together. We want those breadcrumbs to be really mixed through as well, because what they're going to do is kind of soak up some of that moisture and help all of our other ingredients kind of bind together. So, if I show you what mine looks like at the moment, and you'll notice we've only got one camera today, I'm afraid. That's because my usual technical assistant is busy. They're working from home as well. So today they're able to do a couple of simple switches, but they can't sit and just watch the screen constantly. That's fine, we're coping with one camera. Just mixing these through together until I can't see kind of any lumps of just one ingredient on its own. And then when we get to this stage, what we're going to do is shape our burgers, and then we're going to pop them onto a greaseproof paper lined baking sheet that looks like this. Now, because these are so much softer than meat burgers, if we were to just cook them straight away now, there is a risk that they could fall apart. So what I like to do before I cook them is just pop them in the freezer for about 30 minutes just to help them kind of stiffen up, and then that will help them keep their shape enough until we've started cooking them. And then once we've started cooking them, they'll hold their shape. So hopefully that makes sense. And what I'm going to do is just very roughly divide this mixture into kind of 6. So if I squish it down with my spatula, and then I'm going to draw a line to cut it in half, and then turn it slightly and do it again, and turn it slightly and do it again. So I've ended up dividing it into 6ths, if you know your fractions, which kind of looks like that if you can see it. Then I'm going to scoop out 1/6 at a time, and as I say, it's very wet. I'm going to pop it onto this grease-proof paper lined baking tray. And then we just do exactly the same thing 5 more times. So there is number 2. Ah, dropped a bit. Number 3. Oh, and by the way, if you're not a vegetarian and you're thinking, well, I'll just have the juicy beef burgers, I highly recommend you give these a try anyway, because actually, whenever I make these for my friends who do eat meat, they always say how nice they are. So, always worth trying something new. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm making such a mess. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Hopefully you can't. Squish it down. 5 on the tray. And the last one, this will be number 6. Okay, and there's my 6 burgers, and that's what my hands look like right now. So again, I'm just going to go give them a quick rinse. Do is pop these in the freezer for around about 30 minutes, just to help them kind of stiffen up slightly, so that when we start to cook them, they'll hold their shape. So I'm going to go and do that, and we'll jump ahead to 30 minutes time so that I can show you how to cook them. So I'll see you in a second. So it's been half an hour in the freezer, and now my burgers are solid enough that I can pick them up. They're not sticky or anything, so we can start cooking them. What I'm going to do is put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil into the same pan I used before, but I have washed it. And I want this over kind of a medium, high medium, kind of a medium-y heat. It does really depend on how hot your hob gets. This one does get very hot, so I tend to go right in the middle, but I'm also going to watch my burgers very carefully because we don't want them to burn. We want them to crisp up nicely, cook all the way through, but definitely not burn. So once it's nice and hot, which this one isn't quite yet, I'm going to cook them a couple at a time. I don't want to overcrowd them because I want to be able to get in there and turn them over nice and easily. Now, if you want to cook these on a barbecue, you absolutely can, but what I would say is don't go for one of the ones that's got like a really big gaps between the prongs of the shelf, if that makes sense, because they are still quite soft, and as they cook, you don't want them falling apart into the grill. I know lots of modern barbecues have like a variety of different types of shelf, so if you've got a really posh, swanky barbecue, I'm sure you'll be fine. They tend to be okay on the disposable ones because, of course, they don't have like almost like the grill pan style shelves. They have more of I can't remember any words, but yeah, they tend to be better for veggie burgers because they haven't got such big holes between the support, so things aren't going to fall through. And I'm going to stop talking about barbecues now because I'm embarrassing myself. But anyway, so I'm going to just take a couple of these and I'm going to pop them straight into the pan. And then just like last week with the beef burgers, I'm not going to move them around too much. I'm just going to leave them to cook for about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. So again, like I said in last week's video, it can be very tempting to want to play with them, move them around, turn them over loads, but actually the best thing to do with burgers, whether you're barbecuing or cooking them in a pan, is to just leave them for about 4 to 5 minutes, then turn them over, another kind of 4 or so minutes, and then that should be all they need. So yeah, we're gonna do that now. I don't know if I'm going to make you watch for 4 to 5 minutes because there's not really much to see, is there? Should we jump ahead? Okay. Okay, so we've jumped ahead about 4 minutes. Well, you have, I haven't. I've just been stood here waiting. And it's nearly time to turn them over. They smell so good. Again, if you haven't made bean burgers before, you really need to give these a try. They taste so much better than the ones that you can buy in the shops. They're just, by the way, if you like coriander, I don't. I'm one of the people that, for me, coriander, when you're mixing it up, and then apparently that one tastes really nice. As I say, for me, it just tastes like soap, so it would ruin them. And I meant to mention it earlier on, but yes, another option there for you, if you'd like. Okay, should we have a look at these anyway? So I've got my trusty fish slice. I'm just going to slide it underneath, being very careful not to burn myself. And, oh my word, they look good. I don't know how well you can see them on screen. But what it's done is it's formed like a crispy layer where it's been cooking in the oil, so it's like caramelized over, and yeah, it's just, they look really good. What I'm going to do now actually is, while they're finishing up, I'm going to start preparing all of the kind of the trimmings and everything that I'm going to put in my burgers, and then when we get back to the live video in a second, we'll be ready to plate this all up and dish it all up together. So I'll see you on the live stream. Welcome back, guys. It is time to dish up our spicy bean burgers. So to do that, I've just got a couple of my favourite kind of burger trimmings here, but of course you can use whatever you enjoy in a burger. Today I have opted for, rather than my usual lightly floured burger buns that you saw me make 2 weeks ago, I've got some brioche buns here. I thought we'd have something a little bit more special. And I've just toasted them very slightly under the grill. Now, I always have to have cheese in my burgers, so I'm going to start by popping a piece of cheddar cheese straight on top of each burger while they're still in the pan over here. Now sometimes I'll even finish these off under the grill as well, but all I want to do is kind of just help that cheese start melting a bit. While that's doing that over there, in my bun here, I'm going to take a piece of lettuce, and I've got romaine lettuce here. In fact, I'm going to pop a couple of pieces in. And then on top of that, I've got a lovely beef tomato, which I've sliced up into nice thin layers. Beef tomatoes are really big and generally have a really nice kind of punch of flavour to them, so they're lovely inside a burger like this. So I've got a couple of pieces here. I'm just going to pop them on top of my lettuce. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Kind of. Now, when it comes to sauce, I think we all have our favourite burger sauces, don't we? And in these burgers, I'll have anything from mayonnaise to ketchup to mustard. But today I really fancied doing something a little bit different. So in my burger today, I'm actually going to pop some hummus. I think it will go really well with the spicy bean flavours. So I'm just going to take kind of a good decent sized teaspoon, he says, spilling all over the board. I'm just going to spread that on the top of my burger bun. Nice generous layer. I don't think you can ever have too much hummus. And then, these haven't really had time to melt at all, but really I'd be waiting for those cheese, slices of cheese to start melting. And then I would just scoop out one of these burgers, again being really careful because they'll be hot. Pop it on top of the bottom bun with all the kind of trimmings on top of it. Let's turn this off. And then I can flip my burger over, place it on top, and how amazing does that look? Let's see if I can hold it up to the camera for you. So, again, if I give you another quick look at that burger without trying to make a mess, this is what my burger now looks like. So it's nice and crisped over on the outside, but still lovely and soft in the middle. And then I'm gonna somehow try and take a bite of this on camera without embarrassing myself. Here we go. So nice. I think I said it earlier on in the pre-recorded bit, even if you're not a veggie like me and you've never tried a bean burger before, these are really, there's the chili, really, really nice. You get the gorgeous flavours and textures from the beans, that slight tomatoey tang from the sun-dried tomato paste. Of course, you get the heat and the flavour from the spices. They're so good. Mine has completely fallen apart, the mess that I was making of eating it there, but I'm definitely going to be finishing this off as soon as we finish this video. But before we do, if you do have a go at cooking along with this week's episode, so making my spicy bean burgers or any of our other episodes, then do make sure you head to the Kenwood Kids Club website and share the results of your bakes or your cooks with us over there. Not only do we love to see them, but you would also be entered into our monthly draw to win our Star Baker of the Month competition. Now, of course, we are into a new month. It is now May, and that means I get the pleasure of announcing our winner of the April Star Baker of the Month. And a little bird tells me that we've added something extra to the goodie bags as well, a very special Kenwood product. So I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to mention it yet. I might have to check that, and if I am, I'll tell you properly next week. But let's just say there's a themed cake, which, are we able to put up on screen? You might be able to see on screen at the moment. If so, congratulations to Isla. I'm sure you'll agree that she did an absolutely brilliant job of decorating her cake. And because, of course, we are coming close to the deadline for last-minute entries for the Cake International Junior competition from Cake International and the Kenwood Kids Club, and sponsored by Rental Academy, I thought it was only apt that we chose someone who would really put so much time and effort into their cake decorating. So if you would like to be the winner of May's Baker of the Month, or our Star Baker of the Month competition, then don't forget to have a go at one of our recipes over on the Kenwood Kids Club website or right here on our YouTube channel, and share the results with us over on our website. As always, guys, thank you so much for joining me here live in the Kenwood Kids Club. I do hope you enjoyed learning how to make my favourite spicy bean burger recipe, and if you do have a go, don't forget to first enter it, but also let me know over on social media. I will not be back at the same time next week. I almost said I will be back, but no, next week will be the next one of our Junior Ambassador takeovers. Finn has got something very special planned, and I can't wait to see his first video. So make sure to set yourself a reminder, and we will see you at 4 o'clock next week on Thursday for Finn's first Junior Ambassador takeover of the Kenwood Kids Club. Until then, stay safe, take care, and of course, happy cooking. Bye, guys.